you kind of understand social media marketing and you see that the people who put themselves out there are more successful than the people who don't put themselves out there. But what should you be posting about? And will people even be interested in how can you stand out in the sea of noise online? Hello, and welcome to the Fast Forward Amy Show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm Fast Forward Amy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. Why would anyone want to consume my content? Why should I put myself out there? Amy, I believe you feel like I should put myself out there, but I don't really feel like putting myself out there. I hear you, and I've heard this 1,000 times. I fully understand how you feel because I used to feel the same way too. I was like, I don't want to put my face out there because who cares about that? I only want to put myself out there if I can actually provide people with value. And many of my clients have felt the exact same way, especially in our Business Freedom Elevator program. People will ask me, can I join the program even if I don't want to put my face out there? And I'm like, yes, you can, but also it would be better if you do show your face. So I thought it might be interesting to look at why is that? How can we overcome it? And do we need to show our face? But especially, how can we make sure that people will get value from what we put out there online so that we're not just doing an ego trip, but we're actually providing people with value they want to consume online. This is episode 92 of the Fast Forward Amy Show, and I can't wait to teach you about my authentic authority blueprint, which is what we're going to be talking about today. You can read the recap and the percentages I'm going to be talking about later down the line through fastforwardamy.com/92, because I can imagine you are cooking or walking or driving. I don't know what you're doing, honestly. Please let me know. And that maybe later on you're like, oh, what was that resource? We always do it the same way. So this is episode 92. And if you go to fastforwardamy.com/92, you find all of this, as well as our free content brainstorm downloads that I created for you. I created this training. It's super cool, but I'll tell you about it later. Okay, so for me, it's super obvious that if you want to sell more, accomplish more, attract more clients, you need to stand out. And I know a lot of my clients are at the same point. They're like, okay, I get it. I should show my face. But you know what? I don't want to do it for it to become the me show. And I understand. And you might feel like you can't really provide people with value because everything has already been said. And that's kind of true, everything has already been said on the internet. But we have two principles that we want to look at. We want to look at authenticity and authority. So if we look at authority, when we want to attract a bigger audience, when we want to help our clients even more and also help people for free, for example, online, we need to build up authority. And we want people to know that we have a certain area of expertise so that they can hire us later down the line and we can actually help them move forward. For example, a videographer needs to show that they're good at what they do, so people can trust his portfolio in order to get started and actually hire them as their videographer. But there are a ton of videographers out there. So if you would see a ton of people all with the same style of portfolio, how would you make the choice of who to hire? You would then probably go and look at authenticity, which is the other key item we need today. Authenticity is about your own values, about how you perceive the world, about your own opinions, about your own spices, let's say, not in a dirty way. So, for example, our videographer, who is currently sitting behind the camera, and it cracks me up. I always make videographer examples in these podcasts because obviously I see him sitting behind the camera, so he distracts me. But he is one of the most sunshiny people I know. He will walk through the door and everyone in the room sitting in hair and makeup will look at him and they will light up and you're like, oh, you're here. And he's so chill. He thinks with us and he's super present and he will never take away energy. He always gives energy. And for that in and of itself, I will prefer to work with our videographer because he's so sunshiny and he knows what he's doing and he's always willing to improve his expertise. He's both authentic as well as an authority in what he does. Together we can create authentic authority. And you might think your clients know that because you might be a wellness coach or a dietitian, for example. And when your clients come to work with you, They see that you don't work like other dietitians because you work with a smile and you have this big box of blocks that you use with your clients, and you don't give them lists, but you have them build something in Lego, and that way they figure out what their mindset is about their diet or whatever. I don't know what you do, and that's the point. I need to know what you do, but also how you do it and how you infuse it, because your clients might know that you always I don't know, make really funny jokes about the fact that you think each piece of food has like a personality. I don't know. Your clients might know that in your office space you have a dog with you, but also a kitty, and they think they're brother and sister. Those are really authentic you-ish things. For example, for me, I make a lot of dirty jokes. I wish I could say I'm sorry, but I'm not. And I can create good podcasts where I show my authority. I can be like, hey, these are 6 things you need for a successful launch. Or I could do that and infuse it with my own authenticity. My own authenticity is that I make those jokes. I talk about my family a ton. I use a lot of metaphors, actually. I talk about penguins. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that makes me me. I talk fast. I talk slow. I make jokes. I don't take myself too seriously. That's my authenticity. And my podcasts, for a while, they were good on authority, but they were lacking a little bit of my personality because I was just like batching them. And all of a sudden I realized it. I realized it for all of my content, actually. And I was like, you know what? This is information that people could find on someone else's Instagram feed. This is information that people could find in another podcast. I need to give them a reason to listen to my podcasts. And that might mean that I might scare some people away. But if I make it truly my own style, just the way I am in coaching calls, then the people who are going to listen to the podcasts are also going to be the people who will thrive when they are in one of my coaching programs. When I pretend I am one person on my podcast and I'm a different person in coaching calls, it's not going to work out, you know? So I need to infuse everything with my personality. Now, the easy part is when you see a client in real life, you are you, because you're actually a human and you're sitting there. When I am on a coaching call, I will always say stupid shit. Like sometimes, yeah, I say stupid shit all the time. I did a Bridgerton themed welcome party for my Boss Up mentorship program. Everyone in the call was dressed up Bridgerton style with like jewelry and dresses. We put up wallpapers as backgrounds of the flowers. It was so over the top. It was so funny. And I could have not done that, but I would never not do that. I mean, I like doing those things. That makes it unique. And that's also something no one can ever copy from me, you know, because they will never do it with the same type of personality, because I really love Bridgerton, because I read historic romance novels every single day. I'm not even kidding you. The first half hour of my day and the last like hour and a half, 2 hours of my day, I spend reading romance novels. My assistant sees the emails from Amazon coming in. I buy a new romance novel on my Kindle every day or every 2 days. It's like $4 to $5 every week, at least 3 or 4 new novels. So, okay, that's my personality. And if I then make boring ass content online, which is like, here's a list, and I don't insert any jokes, I don't insert any reference to that, where is the authenticity? That's true for you too. Yes, you are right. There is another dietitian already doing the same stuff as you are, or as you know online. Like they're already talking about that stuff. But are they doing it in their own unique way? I hope so, because that means that you can stand out in your own unique way too. You don't need a perfect branding. You don't need any type of perfection. You just need it to be uniquely you. And that is building authentic authority. So if you feel like I don't want to get out there with my own content, I don't want to show my face, I understand how you feel. Just know that now that you know all of this, and I have my years of experience working with thousands of clients who've built their own authentic authority, that they, especially the most successful ones of my clients, or especially my most successful clients, have all used their own authentic authority to rise to the top. So, I think that's enough reason to do it. But how can you go about it? Well, insert my authentic authority blueprints. I should like wish I could just like insert myself in your, I don't know, in which space. That was wrong of me to say. Insert my authentic authority blueprint. The authentic authority blueprint is a 100% blueprint, and we divide it up into value, behind the scenes, pitch, and lifestyle and personal. What do I mean by that? When you are creating content, you could easily look at a full week and be like, okay, I want to create 40% value. And be like, okay, the week has 7 days. 40% of 7 means that 3 out of 7 days I'll be posting value. Yes, true. Valuable content could be where you are answering questions your clients have, you are giving tips, you're giving advice, you're solving their problems, you're addressing their pain points, you're just helping them out, you're making them laugh, whatever. You're giving them value with your expertise content. You could also show them behind the scenes. 20% behind the scenes could be a day of taking people with you, a day in the life of. Come to think of that, every week I think, today I'm gonna do a day in the life of Amy. And this morning I actually filmed myself in the car. But then I got a phone call and I forgot to follow up with my mini vlog I wanted to make. This happens to me every single week. I'm like, yes, I'll do a work with me day. And then I forget. I should really tell my content team, we need to do that. Make a mini vlog about my day. My content team is ignoring me. They're looking at their screen, trying to be silent in the recording room. So behind the scenes could be fun if you do a day of behind the scenes, you know? If you want to be pitching, of course we need to be selling. Take another 20% out of your blueprint for pitch content, salesy content. And then last but not least, don't forget to insert some lifestyle and personal family aspects into your content. 20%. Or like 2 weekend days. I don't know. Sure, that's possible. You could just all divide it up into days. But how fun would it be if when you are helping people with a mini training in your stories about 3 things they could do to become healthier, you would film that while you are in your own kitchen instead of in a super fancy kitchen, but you're just showing them what you do. Now you're not just showing them value anymore, but you're inserting some or infusing it with your own lifestyle and personal preferences. And you could be like, oh, I don't like these cookies, I like these cookies, and I'll have them as a snack after my lunch. I don't know what you're saying. Once you start combining all of this, it becomes a lot of fun. So showing behind the scenes things as you are pitching something and making it actually imperfect will probably trigger people more than if they would just see a perfect pitch. Because a perfect pitch doesn't really give people a reason to buy from you, but an imperfect pitch where you might be holding your baby on your arm because you're like, yeah, I am pitching to you, I am a mom coach, and as you can see, I am also a mom, but my kid is sick today, so my kid stayed at home. That might make you so human and so relatable that people are like, you know what, I want to buy from her because she's real, she's so authentic, she practices what she preaches. So the Authentic Authority Blueprint, by the way, you can find that through the link, fastforwardamy.com/92. We listed it up there. But if you feel like you want to do this, remember that we have 40% value, 20% behind the scenes, 20% pitch, and 20% lifestyle and personal. What do I mean by all of this? We started out by saying, hey, I want to get out there, but I don't really know what I should talk about online. First up, you should stop worrying about what other people are or aren't doing or have already done. It doesn't matter because whatever you're going to be doing, it's going to be in your unique way. We never want to copy someone else. We want to do it in our own unique style. And secondly, there is a lot of stuff that is obvious to you that isn't obvious for other people. And for me as well, you know, starting my own business or getting out there, putting myself out there, like recording a podcast episode on this topic isn't easy for me because I need to really tune in with where I was in my journey years ago. But I remember sitting there and thinking, okay, well, the first thing I did was I thought I'll just take a photo of myself and put that online. And then I'll gain so many followers. I didn't. No one liked it because that was just for my ego. So after a few months, I shifted to I want to make an impact. And I started posting value. And everyone hated that I made really, really ugly content. And I told our content person, Robin, who's now looking at me this yesterday, I was like, do you know how I grew on Instagram? She's like, you know, in fact, I do not. And I'm like, I will show you one of these days. We'll scroll back on my Instagram feed. I made the most ugly content in the world. I also have the messiest office of anyone on my team. I also have so much shit not together. And when my content shows that, I get the most replies. I get the most sales on a webinar when the tech fails. Because people like the realness. So I was giving a few tips earlier, but I was making them up as I went because I didn't write down the tips in my notebook. Forgot about the tips, but I have a message for you. You think no one cares about what you know. You just need to dig a little deeper, connect deeper with your potential clients, with who you were years ago when you were struggling with the same stuff, and talk about the obvious stuff. For me, it's really obvious that I get my hair and makeup done, I have my podcast prepped, and I sit here, and after 4 episodes, we have lunch, and in the afternoon, I'll record another 3 episodes. But every single time when I put up anything about a podcast recording day, people are like, what's the schedule of a podcast recording day? And I'm like, it's so obvious. Do I even need to tell you? But you know what the fun part is? It only takes me 1 minute to explain. Because for me, it's super obvious. But for other people, it might make a world of difference. Because they want to know not just how to organize a podcast recording day, but exactly how I do it. So talking about the obvious stuff is a really great place to start online. But if you're like, okay, I am now convinced I want to become an authentic authority. I will put myself out there. I want to create this value, but I need some help on how to create all of that value, the actual know-how and also the confidence, because you might be convinced now, but you might be lacking the confidence. Then I would love to invite you to our Business Freedom Elevator, because our Business Freedom Elevator is the program that will not just give you the confidence to create your own authentic authority and put it out there, but to also build a profitable business. We don't just talk about marketing. We don't just talk about business. We talk about both of it, and we help you to become a wild success. We're opening up our early birds in 2 days, so go to fastforwardamy.com/elevator and make sure you're on the wait list so you get a notification when we open, because we have a special discount and bonus waiting for you. I want to recap today's episode. For me, it feels like it was a little bit messy because I said some things, but I'm in a very inspiring mood. Why would people listen to you? What should you talk about online? I would say, stop being a little bitch. Start doing something. Make it better as you go. And when in doubt, don't post from your ego. Post from impact and focus on your ideal clients. And if you don't know who they are, think about yourself years ago. Post for that person. Talk about the stuff she wanted to see. Because I would have loved to have seen Marie Forleo's setup of her videos. Now that I'm thinking about it, why do we never create a video of our setup? Why don't we do that? We're like behind the scenes, but we just tease. We should create a podcast where we zoom out and actually show the entire podcast setup. Let's make that as the next video today. We're gonna make it today. Talk about the obvious stuff. Gary Vee says, document, don't create. And I think sometimes that's the best advice you can get. Because you just need to start. You just need to put it out there. You will be surprised as to how much of what you do is interesting to other people, okay? Focus on value. Take it from there. And if you don't know where to start, you're like, okay, Amy, well, you're a little bit rude, but I'll take it. And you want to follow my brainstorm training. I did this mind map brainstorm training on my computer. It's only like 20 minutes long, but it will teach you how you can create different types of content and like a huge list for your own Instagram or whatever. And you can find it through fastforwardamy.com/content brainstorm training. Don't forget, in 2 days, we open a Business Freedom Elevator. Love to see you there. Tag me on Instagram, please. No one ever does that. Please do me a favor. Also leave a review, just do something. One of these things I just said, go and download the training, tag me on Instagram, but let me know you're listening, because I don't know if you don't tell me, okay? And let me know what you would like to see another episode about. I had so much fun with this episode. See you next week.